Oh no, I did it. Yep. Yep. We were mute this whole time. All right, that's okay. We'll just say it again. So, what I was sharing were pictures of a theory of how the Shade died. And I like to have thought that the theory began with the Shade having this dream, the dream of falling from a great height. Well, he first hears a scream, then falls from a great height, and that was the dream of his death. And I liked to have thought that that was the Shade's life before he was the Shade. Because this is a common theory amongst the community that the Shade has lived before now. And that this is a second life in an underworld. If you go back, when I painted those first pictures on our wall, we talked about that. But the other pictures I had just painted, I feel bad now because I was just talking about them, pointing them out one by one, and we'll go back, we'll do that again. But basically, there was an image there of the stork. Oh, it feels so weird to talk about it, and we're not there. So I was poking a hole in my own theory by looking at the other pictures, saying that the Shade has dreams of many things, about his death, about awakening the king, about walking in the halls, endless halls, and that a lot of those are places in the game that we can visit. It's not exclusive to some experience that the Shade had perhaps had before he became the Shade. That's just not the case. So it was a bit of hopeful thinking on my part, but having seen those, it allowed me to construct a bit of a story out of the pictures. And we'll go back and we'll explore those again. But the treasure, right. I was looking forward to the treasure for a long time. It was something I hadn't forgotten. It's just we were busy doing other things, exploring other places, that I just didn't have the time to go take a look. Also, I knew that once I did take a look, it would set in motion all these things, because even though the coins are useless, technically, according to the Shade, they do have a use here, with the face. The face has a secret to tell us, but he wants us to pay him gold coins. So, now we have enough. Hello, face. How are you? I am well, thank you. How are you? Can you help me with these thoughts? Can you tell me a secret? I will grant you my wisdom, but I demand an offering in return. I can imagine us just like placing them in his mouth. You may find a hidden domain if you try to breathe freely. If you recall, the last time we went out, we set some sulfur on fire, and the Shade simply just wanted to breathe. You may find a mysterious door if you look for it where you can see the most. Well, we know that looking at that wall, deciphering it, we can see a map. And by looking at the map, we've done this once before, we were able to see a door. And we did adventure and tried to find the door. We did. We found the door, but it was locked. It was a shame, because there was nothing we could do, and it gave us a disappointment. It was important that I did it then at that time, because it does award a disappointment. We have 0 disappointments currently, so it was quite important to me that we acquire the disappointment while we still could, because yesterday, well, actually it was a couple days ago, when we took that trip to breathe freely, we saw the stork, and the stork knocked free a key from its nest. Now that we have that key, we can go and find that door again. To continue on, you may find a birthday present in a most beautiful place. It's been 200 days. It's not quite our birthday, not yet. But if you put it all together, a wondrous secret is revealed. Okay. This sets something in motion. So, we've done the first one, and I think we can make an attempt for the second one. We would just have to find that door again, now that we have a key. Ooh, I see a face. It's like a sharky kind of fish face in the wall. This is its eye. This is like a fin on top of its head. This is its nose. Do you see it? Wonder if the Shade would see it. Because him living underground all this time, he's probably never seen a fish. He may have read of them, but what would he imagine them to look like? So the first thing we're going to need to do is find where our secret door is going to be. But I was also sharing about the gold coins right when I noticed that the microphone was mute was if you collect 1,000,000 of them. This is something the developer has shared in the game code, that if you were to collect 1,000,000 of them, you could gain a disappointment. So if we didn't get that disappointment with the door being locked, we could always do that. No. I was trying to hold the button to see if we can just automatically pick up coins. That doesn't work. You have to mash the buttons. So being on the Switch, there's no short way around it other than to mash over 1,000,000 times to pick up 1,000,000 coins. I may be repeating myself, but I'm not sure what was heard and what wasn't, so I'm going to be repeating a lot of it, because from my perspective, I already did say all those things. But that's okay. I'm glad I caught it when I did. Door. Where are you today, door? The door actually has 7 different locations it can be in, and that's based on the day of the week. Is it possibly there? I think it's where we visited the door the first time that we discovered it. The next thing I need to do is shift the time to the next day. To that very first hour of the day. This works out because while we're at home, I can go over again those paintings, sharing my theory. But 200 days, we are halfway. Realistically, we're far more than halfway because of how fast time does advance now. Our goal, actually, is not the 400 days. Our goal for now is this secret, this other ending that we had just learned about from the face. Our goal would be the Shade's birthday. This is significant to know it's his birthday because there are theories people discuss, such as the king. What was it the king did that caused him to become so tired? Well, it's pretty simple. He created us. There was some speculation about, did he create us, or did he perhaps take over us or something in some way? No, he created us, and he spent a lot of energy to do so, which is why he is tired. And also, that's the day the Shade celebrates as his birthday. Right. The time. I calculated out the time that we had spent. It was from close to 17,000 pages that the Shade had read in that Eternal Notebook. It was over 281 hours, which is just short of 12 days. It's insane. If you look, this small little red, that's our pile of gold. It's a very small pile of gold, but it's our pile of gold. Okay. So, my theory, lending to the thought that the Shade has lived another life. We have a variety of pictures the Shade can draw. A lot of these are kind of drawing from his own inspiration. Some are places we can see in the game, some are places we can never see, or they give us clues to the game itself. So this one is labeled Doubt. There's a second one. It's also another image of the stork looking straight on, and it's just of a different color variation. And I'm going to highlight over these because I understand there's a contrast that the Switch has that makes these things difficult to see. So this is Doubt. This one here, to the left, this one is labeled Defeat, just like the one above it. It's also labeled Defeat. So you have the image of a stork with a broken egg. To the right, we have Victory. It's a stork without its head, with blood spurting out, and an egg. There's a little bit of blood there, but was it perhaps the stork's blood or from the egg being cracked? We don't know. The next one is this image, Behold, where it looks like a hand holding an egg. I believe it to be our hand. That's because this picture is labeled fingers. I imagine whose fingers? Perhaps the shade's own fingers. Why else would he call it that? So the fingers would be holding an egg in Victory, where he's defeated this stork. Perhaps that's what the shade, before he was a shade, wanted. But instead, he met with defeat. The stork is alive, the egg was shattered, and the shade, before he was a shade, had died. It's a small theory. It's very simple. I wanted to connect it to the shade having that dream of there being a scream and then falling, but no. That one relates to the ending that we had seen with the troll. And the other dreams the shade has are related to other endings that are possible. Just to show, we can see fingers, doubt, victory, defeat, another doubt, victory and defeat, and behold. I think we'll play some music. That'll advance our time. I am, though, uncertain of the location of the door. Playing this to advance time a half a day, it's not a big deal. But if I miss the opportunity, have to look again somewhere else for the secret door, don't want to have to come back and do this for another day. I think what I'll do is I'll leave before this reaches the actual midnight. That'll give me some time to walk to the location where I think the door will appear. And if it doesn't, it'll give us roughly an hour to walk around and find it. Down, please. usually looking at the map. It's very stark and bright, the image of the secret door. When I just looked, however, what I saw were just like shadows of places where it could appear. But I wasn't certain. I probably should have taken a screenshot, so that way we can zoom in. I still could go do that. Considering, if we leave the shade to read the rest of that never-ending notebook, and then we have a reading day between now and the next time we go out to adventure, that should give us plenty of time to advance towards our birthday. This spot right here, between these two arches, this is a place where the door could appear. The one I saw was here. We've got 3 minutes. If I don't see it, I'll take a look in that room, and if it's not there, we'll run back up to the map room. Most of the locations are fairly nearby to the map room. There is one of them that's quite out of the way. Imagine someone watching on YouTube just skipping ahead. To me, I like this moment, that waiting for something magical to happen. Don't see it here. Don't see it here. So tempted to go pick some moss. The moss will be there. Secrets. try to point out some of the locations where it can appear. You can see here between these two, there's a bit of an odd shading between them, like a door could be there. This room and the one on the opposite side. No, it's not that room. It's another that looks like it. This one. And there is a spot, possibly. There's a spot. Oh, I think that's it right there. By the library. I can't be certain. Another one is way up here, right at this little bottom part. See it? Do you see it? It's here. Okay, we are off. Do you want your longing to end, or perhaps just learn to live with it? Kind of like that anticipation and wanting to just jump ahead if you're watching a YouTube video, rather than just to enjoy the moment and be patient with it. Because that's living with it, being patient with it, enjoying it, the feeling of something magical is going to happen, instead of being like, oh, I can't bear it, quick, let's just skip ahead. I think that's what it means to learn to live with your longing. You could say, but isn't longing suffering? Is it though? Because sometimes suffering inspires people to take action, to do things. Like, for the shade, perhaps reading a book, or going out on an adventure, or playing music. Something to take his mind off of the longing. But if you're taking your mind off of it, are you really living with it? I think so. Door. That's a door, obviously, but it's not the door we were looking for. I wish I knew what that said. If it says anything. Here it is. This door doesn't seem familiar. Has it always been here? Or am I finally going mad? I can finally enter this mysterious door. I hope I won't get trapped in there. Why would you say such a thing? Look at it. Look at the treasures. Namely, a crystal. Just like the one we have at home. The one we got up near the top. Wait, door. 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 Don't you dare. Door. 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 Well, the door has disappeared. Again. It seems like I can't get out for now. Finally, I have found myself an even smaller prison for myself. Well, while we're here, we have some books we can read at least. Except, when we pick them up, we put them away. What a shame to see a fine book like this on the floor. I will end this blasphemy. Right, good for you, Shade, but, like, do you really want to live with your longing right now? Or would you rather read the book now? Because, yeah, being in this door, we have to wait for the magic to happen again, to open the door. And just as the door appearing, right after midnight, we're going to have to wait for the next midnight to happen. Well, that'll be tomorrow. Technically, if it was perfectly 24 hours, that would be tomorrow near the end of the stream. We can, however, let the Shade sleep, and he'll drift off into a dream. He'll probably dream of one of the people up by the well, and that'll advance time by an hour. I really don't want to have the Shade sit and dwell in an empty room, so we'll pick up these things later. In the meantime, we're just going to stand here and see if the Shade goes for a little nap. He might not, because it says pick up constantly. Let's give him a minute. I think it would have been fun if we could have interacted with these books, to read them perhaps, while we were here, just to pass the time. But at the same time, you would want to take those books home with you. And you don't want to create a mechanic where you can just stop and read books anywhere. It's an interesting problem, a game design problem. But I think you can start to piece together what the face had meant. That there were 3 locations. The first being up in that tower where we found that purple singing crystal. And now that we're in the secret, we have this amber crystal that sings. So we can assume that with our birthday, there'll be another. And the face had said, when they are together, did he say when they're together? But with all of them, then we will have our secret. this is curious. So, the Shade is a painter, right? The Shade paints pictures. This is the first time we've seen a picture. The king didn't make it. Somebody must have. But they hid it. He didn't want to share it with the king. And it's different than the king as we know him, because we know the king to be sitting on the throne. With this picture, he's standing. Again, that goes back to my theory that the old man, the skeleton up near the tower, that perhaps they were also shades or dwarves that worked for the king, lived with the king, and it was them who left. You can do it. Just sleep. It's important I don't leave the game on and walk away from it, because while the Shade is in that resting state, occasionally another dream will happen now and again. This is something I noticed because I was working on some of the videos. I did a time lapse a while back, and reviewing that time lapse, the Shade did fall asleep and time advanced an hour, and it happened multiple times. If we were to do that, well, that would ruin the time we meet together for the stream. I think if we were able to sleep just 1 hour, things should line up quite well. So that 23 hours from now, it will be 24 hours, and our door should open. So with that, it would be nice, while we're hanging out together, to see the Shade go to sleep. Get that one dream, and then I can turn off the game safely. When the game is off, the Shade doesn't have those dream experiences. The time just advances normally. Come on, little shade. Just listen to the music of the crystal. Let it soothe you and put you to sleep. You heard me. I think another interesting detail is in our thoughts. We have in there written that we had discovered every place that there is to find, and the shade crossed it out. However, we hadn't been here yet. I think I like that, though, because if it did still want us to find someplace else to go, this place is a secret. It kind of gives away the secret, if you know what I mean. This is kind of like that extra 1% above 100%. But now that we've been here, we've truly have seen every place there is to go. Other than perhaps endings or changes that may have happened in other locations, causing them to look different. But they're places we've already been to. And there will be some of that, now that we've crossed that 200-day milestone. There is reason enough to wander around the caves, to look again, see how everything still looks. We've seen a good bit today, and it didn't look like there was much change around there. But we'll go, grab some moss, make some more moss carpets. We can still go to the Halls of Eternity and pick up a few more pages to make time move just a bit faster. Because after the birthday, after we've explored all that there is to explore in that direction, we're still going to want to reach 400 days. not quite. I'll sit with the shade. I'll make sure he gets his sleep in. And we'll see you again tomorrow. And the door opens.